Of bloody red shrimp. Yes, that's what they're called. At least that's not the scientific name. That's one's hard to pronounce. We'll get that pronunciation in a minute. But a colony of bloody red shrimp have been found in Lake Superior, considered an invasive species. They've been found in other Great Lakes and now are in Superior. The discovery raising some questions on what it might mean for the ecosystem there. So let's bring in Dr. Donn Branstrator, a biology professor at the University of Minnesota Duluth and lead author of a study on the finding of these shrimp, which has recently been published too. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Nice to be here.
What is the scientific name? I pulled it up here, but I dare not let me make an attempt at this. Hemimysis anomala?
Very close. Yeah. Hemimysis anomala.
Okay. Okay. All right. I feel pretty good about that attempt.
Not bad.
The first found, I read some of the information here. A native to the Caspian Sea, and now in Lake Superior. They'd been found in other Great Lakes as well, right?
That's correct. That's correct. Right. They're native to the Caspian Sea and Black Sea region, right at the border of Europe and Asia. And, for the last 20 to 30 years, they have been on the move in Europe, and they'd be moving northwestward. And in the late 90s, they made their way into some reservoirs in the Netherlands, and they ultimately arrived in the Great Lakes, showing up in Michigan and Ontario in the early 2000s, 2007.
So when did you discover them in Superior?
So we, just to back up a little bit, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service discovered one individual in the Duluth Superior Harbor, the shipping port, in 2017. And then another group discovered two individuals in 2018. And now a period of time has passed. And what we report in our study was evidence in 2025 of enough individuals at enough life stages, juveniles and adults, to very confidently say that the population is now established in the Duluth Superior Harbor, and that makes it the first known established population in all of Lake Superior.
Okay, well, let's talk about what these are. We've learned about the history, where they came from, and likely got here via shipping on the ships that transit the Great Lakes.
Right.
These are very tiny, the bloody red shrimp.
They are. They're a member of a big group of organisms called zooplankton, which are tiny animals. Most of them they're all microscopic, or most of them anyway, maybe a millimeter, 2 or 3 millimeters in size. So you really need a microscope to see them, and especially to see any detail. The bloody red shrimp and a few other species of zooplankton are on the very large size end of that. So they can get up to about 1.5 centimeters, which is basically a ½ inch in size. Maybe if you look at your thumbnail, the width of your thumbnail, that's about the maximum size of bloody red shrimp.
So chances are, if you weren't searching for them like yourself, doing research, you may not even potentially even notice them.
That's exactly right. Yeah, they're small to begin with, and they tend to be nocturnal. They tend to hide during the day in very nearshore regions of lakes and in the harbor as well. And so unless you're out there doing the detective work after dark with the appropriate gear, they just might go undetected for periods of time.
Now, you hear the term invasive species, and invasive species essentially means any species that's not native to where they're found, meaning they've invaded. Typically, the connotation is that's not good for the ecosystem there. What do we know about the impact of these bloody red shrimp in being non-native? What effect might they have on the Great Lakes?
Very good question. What effect that they're ultimately going to have in the Great Lakes is going to be partly dependent upon the population size. The larger the density of the population, the more change they're likely to exert. there is no really clear evidence yet that they've had either a positive or negative or a positive effect on the food web. And I can say a little bit more about why I said the word positive there. However, as I noted, they are non-native and invasive in a growing number of lakes and reservoirs in Europe. And there is evidence in those systems in Europe that they have a devastating effect on the abundance of the native species of zooplankton. And the concern there is that, so zooplankton, they feed on phytoplankton or algae, but they are a real critical food source for young fish, even some adult fish, but young fish feed almost exclusively on zooplankton. And so if they do have a negative effect on the negative zooplankton abundance and richness, that could have implications for fish growth and recruitment. But we just don't know yet, especially in the Duluth Superior Harbor, the populations are still, from what we can tell from our sampling, they're still getting going in terms of densities. And so the ultimate outcome is yet to be determined. We'll have to study this for another set of years, maybe even a decade or more before we know what the outcome is. Now, because of their large size, they're also a really nice new food source for fish. Fish tend to key in on the biggest of the zooplankton as part of their diet. So it is possible that they could provide a useful supplement for small fish and ultimately have a positive effect on the food web.
Yeah. So in a sense, the jury's still out on that one. Is that, I mean, there may be a negative effect. Ultimately, there may be a positive effect. Maybe there's both and they balance each other out.
Well said. That's exactly where we sit right now. Yep.
One thing that I read in your study too is that they've been known to cause algae blooms in some of Western Europe. What is the extent of that concern about whether they could do the same thing here?
Well, it is a concern. That mechanism is fairly well known because they feed on other zooplankton. They're carnivores themselves. The zooplankton that they feed on would otherwise be grazing down the algae. And so when you remove the zooplankton that graze the algae, it allows for the algae or the phytoplankton to bloom to a greater extent. We might ultimately see something like that, and that is a concern, especially given increased frequency of algal blooms as a result of changes in temperature and nutrient inputs. So it's one more layer of change that this could exert, and we just don't know yet. I think we should be aware. We don't really need to, I think, sound the alarm bells quite yet, but we should be aware that it's has that potential.
And I guess finally here is that what you've discovered with your more recent discoveries of larger populations is that would indicate they are here to stay.
That's right. Yeah, we found evidence all last summer in a couple different locations, and in fact, then we returned just a week after ice out in the Duluth Superior Harbor, and we found them there. So that's fairly good confirmation that they've overwintered. Yeah. That their populations won't rely on additional inoculations into the harbor.
All right. Well, it sounds like you'll have something to continue study now for years to come.
We sure will.
All right. Yep. Donn Branstrator, biology professor, University of Minnesota Duluth, on bloody red shrimp in Lake Superior. Thanks for taking some time.
Thank you so very much.
All right. Something they'll certainly be keeping an eye on for years to come to see again what the effects are, positive and negative, more negative than positive or vice versa. Unclear at this point, but bloody red shrimp, invasive species in Lake Superior, that's established a population.